Hey loves, this is Tara LaShawn with Power Season 4, Episode 3, The Kind of Man You Are. So this week we open up with Dre's walking down the street and all of a sudden he gets two men in black grab him and carry him off. Julio is walking down the street, same thing happens to him. You see them being taken into the FBI building, obviously to be questioned. Dre and Julio are passing each other in the hallway and they kind of just give each other like the eye, like, okay, kind of like what's going on, but then the elevator's open. Here's Keisha being pulled out, but Keisha's like, she was walking with her purse and her heels on, and she's like, let's get this over with. I knew this bull was gonna catch up with me. I told him not to get me involved in that mess, and they got me involved in that mess. Okay, so at this time, while they're getting pulled in to be questioned, Angela is kind of lurking in the back at Greg's funeral and everything. I guess his family and friends, they're up front looking at the casket and everything. He has a closed casket. And when they all disperse and go off, she walks up to the casket and, rubs it, and then she walks off. So then we get to the investigation part. The questioning part. That's what I'm trying to say. The questioning part. So we got Sax who's talking to Julio, and he starts by messing up his name, talking about Julio. He's like, it's Julio, and he's asking him questions. He's like, how do you know James St. Patrick? Oh, I just, I worked at the Wash and Fold. How do you know Tommy Egan? I met him at the Wash and Fold. Did they do any type of running drugs or anything with Felipe Lobos? He's like, who? I never heard of him. And Sax is like, I can do this all day. And Julio's like, I can do this all day too. He's like, did you ever hear him? Did you ever hear a conversation with Mr. St. Patrick stating that he was gonna kill Agent Knox? And he's like, no, that sounds like a crime. Julio was being funny. He was giving Sax a run for his money. Then we go to Dre. He's being interviewed by Mike Miguel Sandoval. Oh, that's Dirty Cop. And he's asking him questions, and he's just like, no. He's like, well, how do you know? What about Mr. St. Patrick's his doings and everything? You have all these charges, and he hired you and everything. He's like, well, that's the time. He's like, most people, when they make it, they forget about the hood. James did not do that. He came back and hired people from the hood, people who had effed up, okay? So he was giving people second chances to do something with their life, okay? And then you cut to Julio saying the same thing. He's like, because Sax is like, okay, either the tattoo on your neck, either you part of this gang where it's blood in, blood out, or you forgot the first digits to your phone number, whatever. And he's like, he made a deal with them. He put his life on the line to make sure I got out of that. And, he offered me a job which paid better health benefits than the gang. and then, so, it shows Dre and Julio at different times but saying the same thing. That's the type of person he is. So, they've painted the picture of James being like the, Robin Hood saint. So Keisha's sitting there waiting to be investigated. Who comes to talk to her? Angela. Okay. And I have to say it was a well planned out play, because Keisha's like, I don't like you. I don't like you. You're the one who did this to my friend. Because Angela's asking her questions about Tasha and James's marriage. She's like, when did he leave the house? She's like, oh, I think when he moved out of the house. When did Keisha pawn her ring? When did he move back? When did you start receiving Tasha's personal mail? And she's like, she's like, the thing about it is, Angela, you're asking me questions that you already know the answer to. He left his wife for you. And she's like, this is all because of you. So you asking me all these questions, and you already know it's because of you. You know when she pawned her ring. You know when he moved out. You know why he was sleeping in the office. You know this. it was well played on Angela's part, because she was like, okay, so you're saying that their marriage they were not performing their marriage duties. So since Angela couldn't use herself or what her knowledge was to go against, to go to saying that Tasha and James's marriage was on the rocks because of her, she used what Keisha said to do spousal privilege, which is like you can use that where the spouse can testify against the other spouse, or either they're gonna put you down as an accomplice or accessory to murder or accessory to whatever crime. So she played Keisha's emotions to get that from Keisha, to say, you know why he left. You know he left because she used her emotions to do that, and Keisha played into it. And so later we see Tasha and Keisha sitting there, and Tasha's like, you should have kept your mouth shut. And Proctor is there with the new guy, Silver. I'm going to get to him in just a second. And they're telling Tasha, they're like, this is why Angela was asking her these type of questions. Because Keisha was like, why was she asking me all this? And Tasha's like, cause she's a bitch. And they're like, yeah, she's that. Proctor's like, yeah, she's that too. But spousal privilege, she can say that Charles' marriage was in array or whatever, and so you can either testify against him or you can go down as an accomplice. Going back, so we have James, and he meets with who is Terry Silver, who is the second chair with Proctor on his case. So right off, he kind of picks up that, Silver has Terry has this little attitude, this little arrogance about him. Like, he's like, I didn't do this. And he's like, like, I don't care if you did it or not. I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to make sure you get off. So Proctor comes in and he's like, okay, catch Terry up, tell him the whole timeline of the day, the night that Greg got killed. And so James is going through it, and he tells him that he broke into the apartment to find evidence that him and Angela were still sleeping around or whatever. And he's like, okay, that's not good. And so James is looking at the pictures, and he's like, wait a minute. This picture right here, the cell phone. That cell phone wasn't there when I was in there. And they're like, okay, so what do you mean? He's like, Angela had a phone that linked to the mole, and there were two phones. One linked to the mole, and the other one the mole had. So, or something to that effect. And so both of the cell phones, he's like, this cell phone wasn't there. I helped Agent Valdez with, tracking who the mole was. And so they're like, okay. And they're like, somebody put it there to set it up to possibly make Greg look like he was the mole. And they're like, and Proctor's like, well, it worked, because that's what's going on. That's what they think. That's what's going on. And they're like, do you have any proof? Of course he doesn't have any proof. So it's not no second deal. So Tommy is dropping off the kids at school, and so he lets Raina go ahead, and he wants to talk to Tariq. He wants to know why Tariq has this little attitude going on. And Tariq's like, man, I really don't care if my dad did it or not. I don't care if he's innocent. I don't care if he goes away. I don't care if they kill him. He's a liar. My mama's a liar. Both of them are liars. Everything they say is a lie. They ain't about faith. And he's like, well, yeah. Tommy's trying to play into it like, well, yeah, he doesn't always tell the truth. Yeah, he does lie sometimes. And he's like, Tariq's like, man, family is not that important to my dad, And so Tommy's like, okay, I'm gonna let you go on and go try to learn something. And I'm like, Tariq is he's not getting it. He's not getting the full picture, because he told Tommy, he's like, I know you just been around them now, but, from what I'm heard for them in the past. And I'm like, okay, do you not realize that your dad and Tommy are old-time friends? So if you think this about your mama, if you think this about your daddy, why are you not thinking this about Tommy too, that Tommy lies? Because Tommy's just a little bit more, I don't know, just a tad bit more honest with some stuff that he do, or he's just a little bit more bolder, got a little bit more hood mentality in him. I'm not getting why Tariq don't think, well, if my parents are all this, you know firsthand that they all this because you closer to them, because you their friend. You've been with them since day one. That's not clicking in Tariq's head. And so it's like, okay, Tariq, you're irritating the piss out of me. You just irritate me. That's just an irritating little kid. Yeah, sometimes I gotta have it. Yeah. Anyway, so we get to Tony Teresi. Tony Teresi's in jail. So the guard walks by, gives him this package. He opens it. It's it's a phone in like a case of noodles. So he's on the phone talking to whoever. He's like, "Did you run that stuff? Run the information on Tommy Egan." They're like, "Oh yeah. Tommy Egan, grew up in Queens. He's a boss. Grew up in Queens. He was slanging drugs with this person named Ghost. Nobody knows who Ghost is, but yeah, that's basically who Tommy Egan is." So Tony takes this and he figures out that James is Ghost. So he approaches him and sits down on the bench. He's like, most people when they come in here, they want to be all tough and everything. They want to show folks right up front, I'm tough. He's like, you kind of just sitting back and everything, but I saw what you did to that dude's wrist. You snapped his wrist. So you really trying to act like you don't know. He's like, and he calls them Ghosts. And at first, Ghost is trying to play it off. He's like, "I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. I do not know what you're talking about." And he's like, "I got proof you're Ghost." He's like, "What kind of proof?" He's like, "I'm not gonna tell you. I'm not gonna tell you. But what I am gonna do is I'll think about keeping quiet if you drop $20,000 off at this address this week, every week from now on. And then maybe, I'll lose my singing voice and I won't know anything." So, of course, Ghost is going to do it because he doesn't know what this guy has on him. He doesn't know what he has on him. And he later finds out that Tony Teresi is been implicated in over a dozen or so, over 100 or so murders, that he's like a real murderer type dude. And Proctor's telling me, he's like, "You've never heard of Teresi? Teresi is like you." He's like, he's you, but instead of in drugs, he murders people. So, of course, Ghost is going to meet the demands. Speculation's going on that is he Tommy's father, or does he really know them or something, know anything about Tommy or so? Because he's particularly said he wanted Tommy to make the money drop because he knew that Tommy would do it, and he knew that no one else would take it as serious as Tommy. So he knows something more. I'm not thinking that he's Tommy's dad. He may have known Tommy's dad or something, but somehow he's connected in another way, I feel. But anyway, moving right along. So then Tommy's worried about the shipment. They're going to get the shipment in the next 2 days. He has eyes on him. He gets with Julio. Julio finally tells him, he's like, "Well, nice of you to show up." And Julio's like, "Man, I got questioned by the FBI and everything." Before that, Julio went to Truth and told Dre, "I want you to stop pushing out the club. It's too much heat. We don't need that. We don't need you to get pinched. So I need you to stop." And he come in there, and of course Julio's little girlfriend is sitting in there, and she helping putting the little pills in the box. He walk in, he like, "Hey," like, it was sexy. So Dre's like, okay. So Julio leaves, and he tells girl, he's like, "You know what? Can you go check on the inventory? I forgot to do something with the inventory of the liquor last night." So she leaves, and he tells the other girl that's sitting there, he's like, "Don't tell her, but we finna keep pushing. You just gonna be the one doing the pushing. But to her, we've stopped. You keep working." So when Julio gets with Tommy and tells him this is what happened and everything, Tommy's like, okay. Now, let me fast forward. Dre stops by a little later on, and he's telling him, man, the FBI pulled us in and everything, and I don't know what Julio was there a lot longer than me, man. I don't know what Julio said or what's up with this cat, but they kept him a lot longer. And Tom was like, well, thank you for coming to me with this information, but I already knew that, because not only had Julio told him, go back, Tommy went to Keisha's apartment and Keisha told him. He was over there eating dinner and she told him, and she told him about the whole deal with them trying to do the spousal privilege with Tasha to make her testify, and everybody's scared Tasha will talk, and they're like, because she has 3 good reasons. She has 3 kids to think about. You know, it's not just herself. She got 3 children she got to think about. And so Keisha's like, man, I wouldn't blame her. She did snitch. And she's telling Tommy, she's like, what's going to happen to us and everything. And Tommy's like, I'm going to protect you. I'm going to make sure. So he already knew this by the time Dre came. I'm thinking Dre just wants to make it seem like Julio is not stepping up. Or, you know, everybody's trying to discredit Julio right now. But Julio is being careful and calm, cool, and collected. You know, Tommy is emotional. He's a hothead. So, yeah, somebody disrespects somebody, Tommy's going to do exactly like he did in the last episode. He ran the man over with his own car. Julio is more like, nah, we need to calm that down. This is what we're going to do. We're going to settle this in a non-violent way. So, you have that difference of personalities. But Dre is not to be trusted. He's trying to kind of come up on the ladder a little bit because he was mad, like, why Julio gotta be the distributor, you know, why is Julio the, you know, distributor, whatever, or the second in command, the first in command, whatever, why is he him, why is it not me? But then Tommy's gonna find out you still playing both sides. Kanan is still alive and you still kicking it with Kanan, and you can't pay in Kanan to stay away from, not even to stay away from Tariq, you just paying Kanan just because Kanan's like, you gonna pay me? Yeah, gonna be some controversy. So, getting back. So, we got John Mack and we got Mike meeting with Greg's friend, Bailey Marco, who works for Homeland Security, the guy from last season who helped him do the wiretap and listen to it. And so, they're trying to get him in, they're asking him questions, you know, like, and they're telling him, you know, Greg was the leak, and we need to know if you knew anything about St. Patrick and he's like, whoa. Greg was not the leak. He's like, we have evidence that, he's like, Greg was not the leak. I have evidence that Greg wasn't the leak and that Valdez was the leak. And so I'll help you take down St. Patrick. I'll help you take down Egan. But you got to take Valdez down too. You got to take Angela down because she's the leak. And you have to clear Greg's name. And he's like, that's what needs to happen. Mock is like, okay, I hear what you're saying, but no. So Bailey's like, okay, I'm out. Mike's like, what kind of evidence he got? You know, Mike is sneaky because he's the mole. So then Bailey goes to Angela's office. Angela's sitting there looking at some papers. And so she finally notices, after just sitting there for so long, that he's standing there behind her. And she's like, oh, okay, hi. Oh, yeah, I remember you. And he's like, yeah, I saw you. He's like, yeah, we met then, and I saw you at the funeral, too. It looked like you were trying to be, you know, you were trying to hide. You're trying to be unseen. And she's like, yeah, I didn't think that Greg's family would appreciate me being there. And he's like, yeah, you know, seeming that it's your fault that he's gone, because if you wouldn't have been cheating, if you wouldn't have left him in the first place to be messing around with St. Patrick, he wouldn't have been so obsessed with it, and he wouldn't have got killed. So it's because of you. And Angela's like, is that what you want me to say? You want me to say it's because of me? Okay, yeah, me sleeping with James St. Patrick me being with him was a big mistake, and it caused this whole thing. And I feel bad about it. And I feel bad that the only way that it's going to be resolved is Greg is going to be dead and St. Patrick's going to end up dead. Yes, I'm hurt. And so he tells her, he says, why don't you confess? He's like, you want to do the right thing? She's like, yes, of course. He's like, then you confess that you were the mole and that you were helping St. Patrick. and you clear Greg's name so Greg can get some stripes on his grave. She's like, I'm not going to confess to something I didn't do. He's like, that's what I thought. So he leaves, and later you see Bailey talking to Saxe, and he's telling him, I got this recording. No one's listening to me, but I have this recording, and it's of Tommy Egan saying that he killed Felipe, that him and someone named Ghost killed Felipe Lobos, and kind of in that Angela was that Greg had discovered that Angela was the mole, and so he's like, okay. Oh, just remember, going back to while he was sitting there with John Mock and Mike, he told Mike, he's like, no, Greg called me. He called me that night and told me that he had found evidence that Angela was the mole, and that he said he was going to call you, Mike. And Mike's like, call. He's gonna call me. But anyway, while he's talking to Saxe, he's telling Saxe the same thing. And so Saxe is like, so you mean Tommy Egan and Ghost are not the same person? They're two separate people? Dang. He's like, so that messes up the whole narrative of what we got. That St. Patrick killed Greg to keep Greg from talking about Tommy and Lobos. And he's like, okay. He's like, let me see if I can do this. So Saxe goes to the judge and tells him, the judge is like, man, get the F out of here. He's like, okay. He's like, that's never going to be heard in my court. Okay. Now with Bailey also, later on down the line, Mike seeks Bailey out while Bailey is sitting like in a bar. And Bailey's like on his computer doing something. And he's like, okay, I know somebody's behind me. If you don't have my food, then, I suggest you start talking right now. Or, And Mike's like, I didn't want to say it in front of John, but I never believed Greg was the mole. Greg did call me that night and said that he thought that Valdez was the mole. I did never think that it was Greg. And, and I'd like to kind of help you out and see what you have, see if I can get it put in. And he's like, okay. Bailey's like, okay, but now it's not the right time. So Sandoval leaves. As soon as he leaves, Greg makes sure Bailey makes sure he's gone. Pulls up a file on Miguel Sandoval. I say, yes, finally. Maybe Greg will, I keep saying Greg. Maybe Mike will go down. Okay, so James finally has whatever memory lapse he had. It finally comes back to him that, you know what? That's how he got my DNA. That's how Greg got my DNA. He pulled me over. And Proctor's like, he pulled you. Proctor and Silver's like, he pulled you over that night? He's like, yeah, I told Angela. He's like, I was on my way to the club and he pulled me over. And they're like, okay, we got to get the video. We can get the DNA thrown out. And they're like, and we can say Angela knew about it and she was just trying to cover it up. I'm like, thank you. And Proctor meets with Tommy and finds out, oh, these people got questioned. He questioned Dre, he questioned Julio, and he questioned Keisha. He's like, man, this is out of control. And he's like, Tasha and Keisha doesn't even need to be involved in this. She's good people, whatever. He's trying to protect Keisha since he's getting something from her. And plus, she is good people. She doesn't deserve to be in there because she knows about the drugs, but she didn't want it coming out. She wasn't connected in any way. It was like, that's their thing. They brought that to her shop. So, she does, oh, excuse me, allergies. She doesn't really deserve to go down, but she can go down for being an accessory and knowing and not telling. And so Proctor's like, okay, I got this. I know what to do. Excuse me. He's like, I know what to do. You got that stuff from my ex. So he's also getting cocaine from Tommy to give to his ex. And I'm like, okay, in the first episode, weren't you mad because she was still doing cocaine? But you're getting it for her. Okay. That does not make sense, but alright. So anyway, Raina is at school and it comes out that James St. Patrick is going to receive the death penalty if found guilty. So she's looking at it, and she's getting all emotional and everything. And these little boys at school come walk up to her, and they're like, "Hey, baby girl, tell me your dad didn't mention anything about murder on career day." And she's sitting there like, "Leave me alone." And he's like, "Why? What are you going to do?" And she's tearing up because, this is something you just found out from the internet that your dad is going to receive the death penalty if he's found guilty. So, of course, you're going to be feeling some type of way. You're going to be in your feelings. You're going to be emotional. They're talking about killing your daddy. And so he's sitting there like, "You going to cry? Are you going to cry?" Tariq came out of nowhere, pushed him up against the wall, and was like, told Raina, like, they asked, I went home sick. And he jumping at the other boys and stuff like, mess with me. He think he tough now. And so Raina's like, I'm not even worried about them. She runs out after Tariq like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" At the same time, across the street is a reporter taking pictures. So Raina's breaking down because she doesn't understand what's going on with Tariq. She's worried about her dad. He's in jail. He's facing a death penalty. She's got all this going on, and she's emotional, and she just breaks down. And they snap a picture of it. Now, of course, they publish it. Of course, James sees it while he's in jail. He's given to it by Officer Williams, whatever, / Charlie Murphy. And Charlie Murphy's like, "Yeah, I chalk it up to bad parenting." I'm like, I love Charlie Murphy. Rest in peace, Charlie Murphy. Charlie Murphy was funny, but I am not liking him for power. I'm not liking his character. I'm like, I just want James to turn around, just cold cock him and bust him in the face. That's just me. And Raina is blaming herself because she's like, we got to be perfect. Mama told us we have to be perfect. We have to be strong. We can't let any of this be affected. And so she's crying, and Tasha's trying to console her because she's crying because she's blaming herself for not being perfect. And so James calls, and he's talking to her, and she's trying to get her words out and everything, but she's emotional. She's getting caught up. So Tasha's like, "Well, I'm going to go take care of her, okay?" James, of course, is mad at Proctor. He's like, "You shouldn't have brought the media into it." At the time when Proctor did it, he did do something smart. When he went to the media and saying, they're arresting innocent black males for crimes that they didn't do. But he's like, "You shouldn't have went to the media." And he's like, "Well, that was a good move at the time, okay? So, my bad that Raina got caught crying, but, And Raina goes to Tariq. And Tariq, after he leaves school, he goes hanging out with Kanan. And he's telling Kanan, everybody's so effing worried. And I'm like, "Tariq, you using the F word quite a lot here, little buddy. Everybody being so effing stressed out about him getting the death penalty." And he just running his mouth and not noticing Kanan sitting here like he just can't stop smiling since he found out about the death penalty. That he found out he was in jail, first of all, and now the death penalty. Now he's really, really happy. So Kane's like, "Well, you ready to start work?" And Tariq's like, "Yeah, I'm ready. Come to find out, Tariq's little stupid self is robbing his friends. So he's giving Kanan the codes and stuff to get into these people's penthouses. They're going in there and robbing people. And he's sitting there right with his friend playing video games, passing out his code, and Kanan and the other dude is in there robbing him. I'm like, "You doing this to your friend?" I'm like, ooh. Like, I can't wait for Angela to find out that James did not kill Greg, and that Mike is the leak. And I cannot wait till Tariq finds out the truth about Slim, aka Kanan, with his dumb self. And Raina went to talk to him, and he was like, "You need to open your eyes. You're supposed to be smart. Mom and Dad are both liars and all this, and you get the F out my room. Leave me the F alone." And Raina's just like, "I don't even know what's going on with you anymore." So Angela, while James is there with Proctor and Silver, and they're going over everything, here comes Angela. And Angela wants to sit down, and she wants to make a deal. And I think this is mainly because of what happened with Bailey, that she decided she's going to go in and she's going to make a deal. And she's like, can I talk to him alone? And all three of them like, nah, no. And he's like, my lawyers stay here, Angie. I don't trust you. Angela, I don't trust you. And so they sit down and she's like, here's the deal. You confess to killing Greg. You give Tommy up for killing Lobos. And I'll try to get your sentence reduced. And he's like, I'm not about to confess to something I didn't do. Because he like, honestly, this time, I didn't do it. And he's like, and then here comes the question of what kind of man are you? Again, and Angela was asked this by by John Mock. St. Patrick better than any of us. What kind of man is he? Did he do this? And she's like, yes. So then it comes back again to about what kind of person are you? Are you gonna, the theme again, I'm not gonna confess to something I didn't do. This is something I actually did not do. And he even went so far to say, you know me. Look at how this was done. I'm not sloppy. And they were like, whoa. Proctor and both was like, whoa, shut up. Don't shut up. Don't say nothing else. And she's like, think about the kids. Think about Tasha. Think about Yasmin. Is Yasmin even going to remember what you look like? I'm like, right then, he should have, I'm not against men hitting women, but he should have went across that table and shook the shit out of her. And I'm like, okay, Angela, you trying to really play this. And I'm thinking, too, what's in it for you? Because Proctor's like, this is bull. She doesn't have the authority to do that. And so it was like, you can't tell him not to take this deal. You can't tell him that. We're looking bad. If he takes it and does it, you can't tell him. And he's like, well, I'm Tommy Egan's lawyer, too. And he's like, that's a direct conflict of interest. He's like, so you doing all this. What is it in it for you, Joseph Proctor? What's in it for you? It's like, you're getting something out of this because you're bending over backwards for them, for both St. Patrick and Egan. So, what's going on? And he like, okay, whatever. And so, let me see. So, Tommy has this club front going on. That he had been setting up this whole episode. So people in there, they playing games and everything and watching the fight, drinking. He's like, make sure people see you doing stuff. You doing the right stuff in the front. You bring the people that want to buy to the back. And so the FBI, they watching Tommy. They looking for him. So he was moving all this equipment in earlier. So then you see them moving out this, just like a trunk. They moving it. And so one of the agents, she's in the back, she's like, what is this about? And the other guy's like, don't worry about that. Look for Egan. So when he gets to the warehouse, this truck pulls up at the warehouse, and he comes up, and here's Tommy sitting on top of the trunk like he just performed a magic trick. And Julio's like, what is this? He's like, you never know who you can trust anymore, Jay. It hits him. And I'm like, okay, I think there's the little seeds of doubts that's planted in Tommy's head about Julio, but Julio is 100% down and 100% faithful. It's Dre that's not. But that was a genius move. That was a genius move how Tommy did that. Instead of, first the car, giving the car to Kate. Genius. Now you get yourself transported like you're a piece of equipment, and they open the door and you sitting there like, all right, let's get this shipment going. Loved it. So they go to court. They're standing there. Proctor presents the video of Greg pulling over James. And so they're like, wow. Okay. At first, John's trying to argue it. He's like, well, it wasn't logged, so we didn't take it seriously. And he's like, doesn't matter. It's right here. He's like, so the judge is like, so how did they find it? But you guys claim you looked for it and you didn't find it. So either you didn't look, or you knew it was there and you were trying to cover it up. And then Proctor's like, yeah, Angela Valdez knew about it. Agent Valdez knew about it. And they call Angela up there and they're like, did you know? And she's like, yes. Did you tell anyone? And that's when John's like, yeah, she told me. And so they're like, well, what do you want to do? Proctor's like, I think we should throw the DNA out. Because if it's presented, it's going to be presented too that you knew about the traffic incident, the traffic stop, the night the victim died, and you see him touching and putting his hand on St. Patrick, and that's how the DNA got under his hand. You see this. So if you present the DNA, we're going to present that you tried to cover it up. He's like, well, you can just throw the DNA out. And he's like, okay. Like, okay, we'll throw the DNA out. Proctor got a little cocky. He's like, and I think you should throw out the other stuff as well. And he's like, no, wait a minute. Whoa. No. So now it is, if there's any fingerprints of James on the gun, that's automatically you kind of like you guilty. So James meets with Silver, and he's thanking him for finding the footage of the traffic stop and everything. And he's like, okay, like, yeah, all right, I'm doing my job. He's like, I'm doing my job because your money is paying for it. That's about it. And Jay's like, I don't need you judging me about or trying to say I'm guilty. And he's like, well, I'm trying to restart my computer. Anyway, he's like, I don't need you judging me like I'm guilty. He's like, you try to do all these things. He's like, you try to present yourself in all these ways. He's like, but still, you like every other brother. You did it the cheap way. And he's like, no. He's like, so you judging me? You grew up in a big house. Your parents probably have all these books and stuff. Not all of us had that. Not all of us was like that. And he's like, you here. He's like, you're not here because. He's like, let me tell you something. You're here because of your choices. Your choices are what led you to be in here right now. And he's like, I know what kind of man you are. And James is like, what type of man? And he's like, he pops the collar on his jumpsuit like this. Like, you're a criminal. And he had said it earlier to Proctor. He's like, he's not scared because he's innocent. He's scared because he got caught. So that was Power, season 4, episode 3. And on next week, they're trying to find a connection with James and the gun. Still, they're trying to get him to flip on Tommy to get a reduced sentence. Angela goes to see Tasha. She wants her to flip on James. Tasha goes to see James in prison and tells him about Angela. And Mike, somehow during the trial, they're going back and forth. Mike's like, Your Honor, can I approach the bench? I'm like, is it to confess that you did it? Because all of this, goodness gracious. Like, all of this, man, you and Angela both, can you both go down? But anyway, I'm Tara LaShawn, and that's my spill on Power. Guys, tell me how you think. And I'll see you guys later on next week.